Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. It is the first Monday of August. Yes, we are here. Schools are getting ready to start, Steve. What is happening? Is
I
summer
know.
really over?
Yeah, I know. I know. Growing up, it always felt like after the 4th of July, it just went so quick. And as an adult, I actually feel like it goes quicker. So,
Quicker. Yeah,
yeah,
no doubt.
yeah.
No doubt. I know. So we always do, we have a leadership Slack channel, right? And we always put in the daily kind of what we're doing. And Lovey was right. She was like, "Happy Friday already." I'm like, I know it does seem to go faster and faster. So
That's right. It doesn't slow down for anyone.
it doesn't. Time
Nope.
does not stop, and we really are only here for such a short part of it when you
Right.
really think about it.
Yeah.
So, well, we hope everybody's doing great and closed out their July in a fantastic way. We actually are going to talk about some numbers today. We thought we'd give everybody just a little kind of mini market update again, to have some points to maybe talk to your agents about or open up conversations. So we're just going to run through some numbers, Steve. What do you think? Is
I,
that
I think that's fantastic. I think that it's really important for us to know the numbers and not rely on the real estate agents to tell us what's going on in the market.
yeah,
We
you
need
should
we
know
need to
them.
be just as involved, right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we always say it's great to strike up these conversations,
Mhm.
but if you know a number, then you can
Yeah.
strike that conversation.
Mhm.
And as a reminder, we always like to say these are national numbers. These are national statistics from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. And so these, and I have regionally some numbers for us today. But remember, we always like to say real estate is hyper local. And you should make sure you get these stats from your local MLS as well to know exactly what the market is doing in your local area.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
yes, yes. We see things neighborhood to neighborhood. So, street to street on how things will change. So, I listed one last night, and I looked on Zillow. It's getting a lot of good activity. It's a lower price property, so it should. But it was amazing. The Zestimate is about 20 grand off of where I listed it. And so sometimes those estimates drive me a little crazy. And again, it's not always taking into account in the local market or that neighborhood or things that are happening. So,
Right.
uh,
One of the interesting things that quick tangent, the when I first got into the real estate industry, the CEO of Zillow had just sold his home for it was about 25% of what the Zestimate came in as. So it was very interesting. It's like, hey, are we sure that these Zestimates are accurate? Why would
yeah.
the CEO take a 75% wash on his home? Oh, it's because the Zestimate was terribly off, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I do think they've gotten it better over the
Much
years.
better.
I think
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen it get better. But this is why we say find a local agent, find a
Mhm.
local vendor, because those are the guys that know your local numbers. So
Yeah.
love it. All right. Well,
So
just
what do we have?
yeah. So, I mean, overall, like we're still pretty flat, right? Like the last 3 years, we've hovered around this 4 million, little over 4 million in sales for the year. And we're kind of still right there. So sales actually, so existing home sales, is what we're speaking about too. Existing home sales went down month over month, just a little bit from May to June. But really year over year, they're up 2.8. So I think you see some of that happen from May to June. Again, we always talk about like, when's the market this year? Is it April, May, June? Is it May, June, July? Like, when is that summer market? So overall though, I mean, the sales again, they're fairly flat, right? Like we're not gaining a bunch of traction. We're not losing a bunch of
Yeah.
traction. What's interesting is the medium home price has reached an all-time high. So we still lack the inventory needed to drive home prices in the opposite direction,
Right.
right? Supply and demand, more houses on the market will naturally bring prices down. And what we're seeing is wages are still outpacing that home growth price. So I think this is an interesting part of the conversation. right? So inflation is higher than wages outpacing, right? Like we know we're in a little bucket. Inflation numbers came out for June. Remember, guys, too, we're always talking about like June, like it's the end of July. We're talking about June, and
Going into
that's because it
June, yeah,
takes a long time to get the numbers together from the
that's right.
month. But as of June, inflation was still outpacing wages. That's why we feel squeezed, right? When we go to the grocery store and these kind of things. But the interesting opposite is that they're not outpacing the home price gain. So we're still in what they call more affordability. We can afford the home, right? I just can't buy a couch to put in the home, Steve.
That's right. Yes. Right. Or top tier groceries, or you might need to buy some store brand stuff, but you can
Yeah,
afford the home though.
I
That's
can
good.
get the home. I can
Yes.
get the home, which I think is interesting because I think that leads to this more flatness of the numbers, right? Because sentiment comes into this at some point where buyers feel like, well, I might be able to buy the house, but I don't want to be completely house poor living in it, right?
Right. Right. And
Yeah,
I
and
think that everything from um like you were talking about the price of furniture to the price of gas, are they moving further away from their job? I mean, it sounds silly, but they're taking things like that into consideration before they move right now.
yes,
They're maybe not willing to move 10 or 15 minutes further away from their job because of stuff like gas prices.
absolutely. So all these factor in, right?
Mhm.
Um, but at least this is good for real estate. So at least that wages are still outpacing the price growth. And the national high that we are at is $440,000. So nationally across the United States, the median price, they use median price. We don't use an average price. Average doesn't really give you a good indication of where that
Mhm.
is. So they use the median price, and that is 440. Um, so supply, let's talk about where we're at. So inventory, we're roughly at 4.6 months supply of inventory. Steve, what do we know about inventory? So if we're under 6 months, what do we have?
Yeah, if we're under 6 months, we are still very much in a seller's market.
Yes. Yeah. So again, prices are still going up. Why should I list my home? Well, because I can make a good profit on it. But I think where we're seeing this inventory still lag and not get where we want it to get is straight due to the amount of people that still have an interest rate under
Yeah.
4%,
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
right? And they're thinking, well, I don't want to go lose this rate by pay more for the next house I want. We'll just stay here a little bit longer and see what happens.
Yeah, we'll
So
get a renovation loan, take out a HELOC, put in that three seasons room, put in that covered patio,
mhm,
finish the basement, because I'm only going to take out, maybe an adjustable rate loan for a short period of time on $20,000 to $30,000 versus an entire, new home.
exactly. Exactly. So I think that's really kind of what's keeping it there. But the message here for agents, for real estate agents, is we still need listings. We need more listings. We still need you to be prospecting to get people to sell their homes, or to maybe get some of these baby boomers off to their next rest. I don't want to say resting place. That was terrible. But their next place of living that isn't allowing them to sell the home they've lived in for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Those are the homes we kind of need to get out there on the market. And we are going to see this, huge generation of people retire, right? This is all happening. They're starting to retire. That's another interesting conversation about the job market with those people retiring, but we're going to talk about the market, not the job market. Okay. All right. So, and this inventory is about the same as last year. So again, we're not gaining inventory. Sales are steady, kind of flat. Inventory is kind of flat. So we're just kind of hovering in these places.
Hmm.
Um, and we do know that things that are happening cause people to not make decisions, right? This conversation is political free, people. That we're not talking, but we do know there's all these economic things happen that also do drive into our market. So All right. So year over year housing affordability in all 4 regions has rose. Again, all the numbers I'm giving you guys and stating, like, we know affordability is there because the wages are outpacing. So that's a good thing. And when we talk about these regions, remember that NAR separates us into 4 regions, right, Steve?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So we've got the Northeast, the Midwest, the West, and the South. So, and if you guys want to look, you can just go to NAR and look at the fund map so you can see where your state lives in those regions. An interesting part of the market is that condos, and I know I feel this in Dayton, condos, those sales have been decreasing about a 3% clip for a little while. So we're not seeing people want condos.
Interesting.
Like,
Can we speculate as to why?
I don't. I was digging in. I mean, well, I think this is interesting. The median price of condos is $380,000.
Okay.
Your median price of a home is
440.
440.
Yeah.
So it really, and I think the rise of the patio home communities, right? I know here in Dayton, there's a ton of builders that have been building these communities where they are individual homes, but they don't have to take care of anything, right? All of your stuff is covered, snow removal, grass, all of those things. So I think this is kind of an interesting question. So how could a media company maybe help condos right now? How does this directly correlate to what a media company can maybe do?
Man, that's really interesting. Do you have ideas?
Oh, I do. So what do condos typically, what are they trying to market about the condo?
Usually, I mean, it's the community that I would say the community that they're living in, right? So the
Yeah.
features that, what is the HOA covering, right? So you're paying a fee. What does that fee get you? So the pool,
Correct.
the tennis courts, the gym, the neighborhood bar and grill.
The park, the walkability, the whatever it is, right? Those community amenities that live inside that condo are going to really be key to probably get somebody to justify. And if I had to guess, I would guess HOA fees rising is part of the problem.
I would say honestly, just existing in general, the fee, because again, just going back to talking about expenses, and when we're talking about interest rates being slightly above where their current interest rate is, the idea of also paying an HOA fee, and there are some people out there who don't want the pool, they don't want the tennis courts, they're not going to use the parks, whatever. That is just an added bill to them. So yeah, I think just the fact, not even just that the HOA fee is rising, but that the HOA fee exists. And then as a second point to that, the news likes to scare us about corrupt HOAs, don't they? Do you hear this? I mean, I get clients all the time asking me if I have any information about the reliability of this HOA because of HOA presidents embezzling money and misuse of funds and things like that.
Which I always find really funny because, like, I mean, there are some very large communities that this money is a very large amount of money, but it's not crazy amount. Like, right. I don't know. I guess if I was going to break all the rules and embezzle, I would embezzle millions and run away, right?
You're going for the big job. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess there's not millions living in these HOAs. So yes, I agree. So I think that balance of, well, you're only 60 grand off in medium price, and then it comes with a fee. I think it really, I do think condos have kind of always come down to when people want to live that style of life, they'll make the sacrifice to pay for what they want.
I agree. Yeah.
And so those things have to kind of weigh. And like I said, with the addition of these more of these 55 and up communities and these things that are happening, I'm sure many people have redwoods in their area, that kind of easy living for, people as they age up and don't want to take care of the yard and things like that. So I think that's kind of what's driving it. But go help these people get the content, guys.
Yeah.
If you see you have an agent that has a condo that's sitting and they didn't order the amenity photos, and you guys maybe have a pocket or you're training somebody, go grab some of these amenity photos and then go sell them to your agents and say, hey, I just wanted to give you some cool content to hopefully help you market the sale of your condo.
I love
So
that
remember,
idea.
we always talk about, sometimes you give a little bit to give, to get back. And I think that's a cool moment that you could do that. So, all right, really quick regional snapshot. Okay. So we're going to go to the Northeast, which is primarily those, New England states,
Mhm.
and so forth, New York and New Jersey. I do think they throw Pennsylvania into the Midwest, though. I think so. So month over month, they're 2.1% up in sales. So essentially, from May to June, this existing home sales went up 2.1%. That's, again, typical this time of year. Probably typically see that higher, but again, we're seeing this kind of overall flat market.
Right.
It is unchanged year over year, so they haven't seen any really difference from last year. And their median sale price is up 3.8% year over year. And it is up to $564,000 as a median price for the North.
Interesting. Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that is one of the contributing factors to that national price being 440, obviously.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Then we go to the Midwest, which Steve and I will say is the best. But anywho,
Skyline Chili and Cincinnati Bengals. What's better?
I know. And it's the most affordable market out there. So Midwest is actually seeing a 3% decrease in month over month sales.
Okay.
But when we look year over year, they're up 2.1. So kind of still where everybody kind of else
Oh,
is in
expecting.
those numbers. A median sale price is up 2.7. So again, we know the median overall price is up, so that should mean that every region is up, right? So it is up and it's at $346,000.
Okay.
So, yep. This is always that moment when I always love to put reality into things. I think the Dayton median price right now is 280, maybe somewhere around there. And when I got in 2013, it was $140,000.
Isn't that
It's
crazy?
always fun to put the perspective
Yeah.
into it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, South. All right, let's get down there to Georgia and all these fun states, Florida. They have seen a 3.6% decrease in month over month sales, but overall year over year, they are up the highest at 3.8, or they match the Northeast at 3.8% up, which is really good because the Gulf states were kind of struggling for a little bit. So it seems like they're at least moving houses off the market. As we know, Florida has seen an incredible amount of hurricanes in the last
Right.
few years, and that has changed some of how people want to live on that
Yep. That
coastline.
desirability. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So their median price is up slightly year over year, 0.9%, and it's at $377,000.
Okay.
So now we're going to hit the West, which is the largest median price. I'm sure hope
That's
people.
what I was expecting. Sure. Yeah.
Yep. So they're down month over month, 1.3%, but again, year over year at 2.8%. So we see again
Very
that
similar to what's going on in the Midwest. Yeah.
Yep, consistency. Their median sales price is at $633,000, which is just up about 0.9% year over year. So it's up though. Median prices are up. I know me as an agent, when I want to go get an appointment and sellers are like, "Was it really a good time to sell?" Yes, it is. You're still up year over year in prices. You just might have to wait a little bit longer to sell it than you did a couple years ago.
Yep.
Right? Interest rates, and we're going to talk about that next, are still hovering at a point where it's not making people buy like crazy. And so we definitely just kind of see this flatness kind of happening. But if you want to sell, you're still at a good point to do that. So days on market nationally, the median is 28 days. We have to remember this is calculated differently from MLS to
Yeah.
MLS.
It's very inconsistent. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the ways you see MLS's and we have this Dayton to Cincinnati. So
Yeah. How does Dayton do yours? I'm not in the Dayton MLS like ever. So,
okay, so Dayton, we calculate from listing to close. So it's not
interesting.
to pending contract.
Depending. Yeah. Which I was going to say. So we're listing depending, right?
Correct.
I mean, just to put things in perspective, that the same exact house, that is a 30-day swing typically. I
Right?
mean, if you go under contract, if you list on a Friday and go under contract on a Saturday in Dayton, that's a 30-day close. But that's a 30-day on market. But if that is in the Cincinnati MLS where I am at, that's a 1 day on market.
That's a 1 day. Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to always know how locally your market is doing this. But in all markets, we see this days on market kind of increase. It's gone back and forth a little bit, but no crazy swings. No but it continually, people are just taking their time a little bit. They're buying houses, but they're taking their time, which again, longer days on market only equals agents buying more marketing
Materials.
companies.
And it's a longer period of time for your resume to be out there to the world too, right? You're the all of the work that you've put in to be out there to the world. So
Absolutely. Interest rates, they're for June, they were 6.49%, which was up a little bit, like very little bit. For May, they were 6.44 in May. The good news here, and this is why, again, I think we just continue down this flat line, is they're still down from last year. So last year at this time, they were 6.8. So even though we don't like it and they're so high and we were hoping for some rate cuts in which all the other things have kind of halted that, they're still lower than last year. So there's still opportunity.
There are, and I will tell you this also, there are a lot of I had a listing where the buyer was able to get an interest rate that was actually in the fives because of the job that they had. There was a program out there that they were able to get a subsidized interest rate on, which is killer. So, I mean, there are these opportunities that pop up where, you know, people are able to take advantage of those lower interest rates.
Absolutely. And there's always different things. Remember, we always say, date the rate, marry the house.
That's right.
You can always refi and do things in different market environments. And sometimes you just need to do what you need to do to get the house and have an affordable payment. And then there's always opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, there's nothing really glaring exciting there. I think what the good news is with the steadiness of the market of where we're kind of been flat, we continue to stay in this market for media companies where they can help their clients really do some good media. Yeah. And not where, we throw a house on and an hour later it's pending because 100 people have seen it in an hour and wrote 30 offers, right?
Right. Yep.
So
I'll tell you for a minute, the market was moving. It was so quick that there were agents in my office who were like, why am I even getting photos? I know I could take a picture of this with my phone and it's going to sell. So it's good for us that that's actually not necessarily the case. That's actually a good thing.
It's good for media companies. It's good for agents because those agents, I've always told them, like, so what are you going to show next year to your clients to get the next listing?
Right.
The market is not always going to be like this. And you need, you sell houses. You should have media to show people how you sold a house.
100%.
Crazy. So. But that's where we're at, Steve. So as we embark on this August, I want to remind people that the first couple weeks of the month tend to trickle down if you see appointments lower than normal as people are getting into school and agents are not able to get these people to list their houses while we kind of wait a little bit. But the good news is September and October always peak back up. to get, of course, if we're in those seasonal areas, to get
Mhm.
those get that media done while there's still some leaves
Yeah.
out
Right.
there.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It's very
Mhm.
true.
But we are now officially entering the latter part of the market. So August, we tend to see a little dip. September, July kind of, or September and October kind of peak back up, and then we have the November, December swing down. So it's almost planting season, I guess, is what I have to say. So
That's right.
yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, as always, we love being here and sharing information with you. Let us know if there's any topics you would like us to cover. We will probably come back next week with a few more sales activities for you guys to start your week with. And we hope these numbers have helped you to drive some conversations with your agents. All right.
Thanks, Shan.
Have a great week, guys. Bye.